it seems it's not only the Northeast that the country must take a huge step to curtail the violence, but North Central is getting rampages every day. Let me ask you, let me start from you, Professor Tor. What are your thoughts? What is your reaction based on what the lawmakers said?
Well, my simple reaction is that we are always reactive in this country. It would appear we suffer from some kind of historical memory loss. This event began in the Northeast, but because of the situation in Jos, very little attention was paid. And when the situation in Jos started, rather than give it adequate attention and deal with it immediately, many Nigerian politicians, the political leaders, were playing the ostrich. People tried to canonize, call all sorts of names on the leadership of Plateau State, on the people of Plateau State. People tried to name the situation in Plateau State as totally different, rather than look at it as, one, issues of resource control, issues of occupation, issues of economy, and potential dangers for the entire country. People overlooked it until it moved into Nasarawa State. The Ombate thing took place. The crisis in Doma, Tiv, and all of that happened. And now Benue State. But we've been having pockets of it. Even with this, we've been having pockets of it in different parts of Nigeria, Ebonyi, and the rest of it. So the thing is, until we begin to aggressively deal with situations on the, as soon as they start, we'll continue, to talk about it in cycles and cycles and cycles.
All right. Captain Umar, what's your thought about what the lawmakers, what their take on the situation in the North Central as regards the Fulani headsmen and the farmers?
Yeah, most of what I've heard is security arrangements should be tightened, we should be upgraded. And I tell you, it's not about really the presence or the absence of security men. Our leaders, first and foremost, should learn to be social engineers. Okay, those security problems that the police need to go there and monitor, which they're not doing properly for obvious reasons, are actually sponsored by deficits in policies they themselves are known to spawn.
Let me come to you in our Abuja studio now and give us your thoughts as we come to the home stretch of the program. Tell us now that we are you are part of the national conference and they are reconvening on Monday. What exactly will be, if this case comes on the table as a delegate, what would you and your colleagues be talking about? What will you be presenting to these people as a solution to the situation on ground in North Central region of the country?
Thank you very much. One of the measures we've taken already is to open the door for dialogue among the delegates of northern Nigeria. Ordinarily, those of us from the Middle Belt region are very reluctant to have any serious dialogue with our friends from the South. Some of us felt that as leaders, we have a duty to look at the larger picture and create platform for us to dialogue and to find possible amicable solutions that will benefit everybody and make Nigeria a more peaceful and stable entity. And so for us, northern delegates, we now have a northern delegates forum. There are areas where we believe we have common interests. There are areas where those of us from the Middle Belt field we will probably not compromise at all with our friends from the far north. But that's neither here nor there. The essence of the conference is to have a dialogue. And when you are coming to a dialogue table, you must have an open mind. And that's what we believe we will do. But the ultimate solution is with the people who are community leaders, religious leaders, political leaders to accept responsibility in creating a orientation about the sanctity of life. For too long, there has been mass killings in different parts of Nigeria, too much shedding of blood in the name of politics, in the name of religion, in the name of even economic interest. But I think we all must ask ourselves whether we are becoming depraved, whether human life don't mean anything to us anymore. And so if leaders begin to pursue a situation where even one death will move us to take big measures in order to prevent further reoccurrence, then we will be approaching the solution. So we need proactive measures, preventive measures, but I think the starting point is this conference, the dialogue that will ensue, and the creative solutions that will be preferred, which includes the idea of state police that many people have been averse to. But it doesn't make sense to say we are practicing a federal system and then we do not have multi-level policing system. I think these are the kind of issues that will be on the table during this conference.
All right.
But of course, that will mean more responsibility to the states, but it also implies that the states will need more resources. The more you devolve powers to the states, the more you allocate more resources to the states. All this will be issues that will be on the table.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dara.
Ultimately,
so that we have
we
some of
must
the
have
intervention
and
of
progress.
some of our, the guests here in the studio. Thank you very much. We'll soon come back to you before we end the program. Professor Tor, tell us from what he has said and from what we have on ground in terms of policies that must be shaped to make sure that some steps are made, especially for the delegates at the national conference. What should they be looking at? What should they be doing? You understand, you belong to two parts of that world. You live in Jos, you are from Benue State, and these are two affected areas.
Yes, like I said from the beginning, one of the critical things I will mention here, which I think is important for us for the national conference, is commendation. First of all, I think it's commendable that we're having this national conversation. I said this because for a long time, Nigerians don't seem to be listening to one another. There seems to be a kind of blocked communication, and unless we unblock our communication system to listen and hear one another, we can't deal with all of this. So the fact that we have an opportunity to dialogue, to have conversation, an active conversation for that matter, I think is a very strong statement in itself. And what do we need to do as a starting point at that level is to go there with an open mind, like Honorable Dara said, but above all, respect for one another. Because one of the critical problems we also have in this country is the one of disrespect for some groups. You know, when others feel they are first-class citizens and others make others look like second-class or third-class citizens. And I think these are some of the things that sometimes provoke the kind of responses or resistance people get on the field and so on and so forth. But having said that also, there must be sincerity on the part of people who are in government. How are we collaborating? Look at the crisis, Benue, Plateau, and Nasarawa states. I hardly hear of a meeting between the state government involving Plateau, Nasarawa, and Benue State, except between Nasarawa and Benue State. But all of this, we haven't gotten good results. All of this, we haven't gotten good results. So there must be sincerity too on the part of people who are doing this. And again, we need to purge the security system. Nigerians don't trust the security system. I can tell you that in Plateau State, not many people trust the people who are staying around them with guns because of experiences. And I was trapped on the 7th of March on Daudu when there was an attack. And the community people there, even though the military came there, the young men and the women and everybody gather there and say they don't trust these people that are standing before us. So perhaps there's need to purge the security infrastructure itself.
All right, just a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, let's quickly get an intervention from Captain Umar. There are allegations against the military in some cases. I mean, like he just said. And again, Honorable Dara just mentioned about the issue of state policing. From your own point of view, technically, what's the implication of having a state policing as we round up?
For me, having a state police is one road less traveled. People who shy away from having state police forces seem to me to be afraid of something. They condemn it even without trying it at all. We may say, given the nature of Nigeria and what we do, state policemen may be abused. But we have a federal police that is always abused. I mean, policemen who have to share 50 fish to one policeman are already abused. If you watched the take on police college, that police force is already abused without being used to do anything. Now, if you put a state police in place and put the necessary safety nets, the checks and balances with every sense of sincerity, it's going to be more effective.
So in this particular situation, when we have ethnic clashes, state policing seems to be the problem for that. I mean, it seems to be the solution.
It's one of the possible solutions. I'll tell you something. Today we have policemen who have lost. There is a disconnect between the populace and the police forces. But what if you were in a state where you joined the state police and you were posted back to your local government? There's going to be a connect between you and the people there. It's going to promote community policing because you are a product of that environment, so you are most less likely to be a stranger to them. Now we're having policemen that will rather feel unsafe with than safe. You see, the solution to our security problems is simple. Our leaders, first and foremost, need to become sincere. We need to move from demagoguery in politics to state craftsmanship. A demagogue will appeal to sentiments, to religion, and emotions to do what he must do. And a state craftsman will actually see the potentials in those resources that seem to be scattered and articulate them. Right. 150 million people is more than enough for us to get a pass mark in anything we want to do. Security inclusive.
All right. Just as we round up, just a moment for you to just round up your thoughts and so that we can close now. We just have about 30 seconds to do that, Prof.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think that Nigeria has great potentials. Everybody has been saying that we don't even need new laws to make this country great because this country was on a greater path before. But let me quickly say, the situation in Benue State right now is so dangerous that it could pull this country apart. We may pretend to ignore it. We may not understand the potential danger that is there. That is how Plateau was ignored. But I'll tell you the truth, by the time Benue is ignored, the center will no longer hold. That is my fear.
Thank you so much. Captain, 30-second last word, please.
Well, basically, security will ever remain what we make of it. The start point in security is with our leadership.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not sure we have Mr. Dara still with us. If you have Mr. Dara, 30 seconds, just tell us what your thought and we'll round up here.
The people of Nigeria must declare a state of emergency on the security situation in all parts of the country. Government, politicians, and the people must make coordinated and concerted effort to solve this problem. It's very urgent.
Thank you so much.
I do believe the conference will be helpful.
Mr. Dara, former presidential candidate of the Nigerian Transformation Party, and Professor Tor from the University of Jos, and Captain Umar Aliyu. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, for all those of you who have been able to join us, I hope that you have been able to get a sense of the situation in the north central part of the country. And as we look at the national conference, which reconvenes tomorrow, we hope that the lasting solution will be given to this situation. My name is Seun Okinbaloye. On behalf of the team, next time on the program, we'll see you again. Have a wonderful evening.